Welcome back to WCDC Art. For this floral painting, you'll need an 8x10 canvas board, some paintbrushes, a paint palette, a pencil, and a permanent marker. You'll also be needing acrylic craft paint in orange, green, blue, purple, pink, black, and white. So to begin, I have my canvas on top of a surface just to protect my tabletop. I have an example of what our finished drawing will look like up in the top left corner. You can refer to that image anytime throughout this video. So since our first step is to draw out this image, I'm going to grab my pencil and I'm going to start with the largest flower first. So I'm going to make that center circle towards the left side of the canvas. So from here, I am going to create the petals of the flower. I'm going to make rounded petals that go all the way around. I won't be connecting them to the center of the flower. I'm going to leave a little bit of space. So moving on to the next flower, I'm going to make a smaller sized one to the right of my big flower. So I'm going to start with a little center circle, and then these petals will kind of be heart shaped. You're going to bring your pencil up, curve it down to a point, and then back up and around. And then we're going to make these heart shaped petals all the way around this center circle. So now I'm going to come in and do a tulip-like flower in between my two finished flowers. So I'm going to start with an oval right in the center. And then on either side, I'm going to come at the bottom middle of that oval and bring it out and then back up. So I'm going to make two little petals on either side of the center oval. And then from here, I'm just going to create a stem from that tulip down to my big flower with a little leaf off to the side. I'm also going to go in and add leaves to my smaller flower. So I'm going to come out towards the big flower and right back in. So these leaves are kind of like almond shapes. We're going to add details to them at a later step. And now I'm going to do the same thing at the bigger flower. I'm going to do two leaves towards the bottom and then a larger one at the top. So now I'm going to add some berries all the way around my big flower. So I'm going to create a stem coming out, and I'm going to put an oval on the end of it, and then a second stem with a second oval, and then to finish off the berry bunch, a third stem with a third oval. And then I'm going to do that same thing twice more around my large flower. I'm going to do 3 little berries at the bottom, and then I'll do 2 with a leaf off to the left. We are now done with the drawing part of this painting. When we're done adding color, we will come back to add some details to the leaves and the flowers. The first part that I'm going to start painting is the large flower. So I'm going to start with the petals of the large flower off to the left, and I'm going to paint mine in purple. So I'm going to put some purple paint into my palette. I do want it a little bit lighter, so I'm going to add a little bit of white. When my light purple is all mixed together, I am just going to carefully go around and color in each petal. If you go a little bit over your pencil line, that's okay. Try to get as close as you can. Towards the end, we are going to outline everything with our black permanent marker. So your edges are going to be somewhat hidden, but try your best and have fun. While I have this purple paint out, I'm just going to use the same color for the center of my smaller flower. Next, I'm going to add color to the small heart-shaped flower. I think for that one, I'm going to do a light purple. So I'm just going to take the purple I have out on my palette, take a little bit out, and put it into the paint well right next to it. And then I'm just going to add a bit more white to get a lighter shade. The next flower that I'm going to work on is a tulip in between the two purple flowers. So for this flower, I'm going to make it pink, and I'm going to make that center oval a darker pink and the two outer shapes a lighter pink. To get the lighter pink, I'm just going to take the pink I have and add a little bit more white to it. Next, we're going to be painting our leaves and stems of our flowers. So for this step, I'm going to be using green paint. I will also be mixing in some blue and definitely some white. I want to have at least 2 different shades of green for this step. Here's where I'm going to take some more white and add some green to it just to get a lighter shade. I'm going to use that same light purple that I used on the heart petals to do a little detail in the large flower center. So I'm going to do some circles in there, and I'm going to do 1 circle directly in the center and then the same size circles surrounding that. So after that center flower is done, I am going to paint the berries. And for this, I'm going to make mine blue. I am going to add some white to this blue just because I think it's on the darker side. I'm just going to mix this blue and white together and then paint all of the oval berries. Next, I'm going to take a little bit of orange paint, just add a few dots above my tulip. So for this step, I'm going to take the bottom of my paintbrush, the opposite end of the bristles, and dip that in the orange paint. And then I'm going to put 4 dots above the tulip. Using the bottom of the paintbrush helps get a more consistent circle. Now I'm going to take a small brush with some white paint and add lines to the center of my large flower. So I'm going to add 2 little white lines to each flower petal. And these lines are going to start by coming out of the white center of the flower and going out towards the end of the petals. Keeping my white paint and small brush out, I'm going to add little marks to the heart-shaped petals. So I'm going to add about 4 to each petal, and these could be short little lines or even dots. So our next step is to paint the entire background black. So I'm going to start by just painting kind of around all of the flowers and then going back in later to fill in the larger areas. So I'm going to put black paint into my palette, take a small to medium-sized brush, and outline all of the flowers. I am going to leave a white border around everything, so I'm not going to bring my paint all the way to the flowers and leaves and berries. So for our second to last step, we are going to take our black permanent marker and outline everything and add some details to the leaves. So the first thing I'm going to do is work on the leaves. I'm going to put a line down the center of them and then outline them. On some of them, I'm going to add some extra lines in there just for extra detail. And I'm just going to keep going through and outlining everything. Thanks for watching and painting with WCDC Art.